A senator's son has vanished. A secret squad of renegade students exists in the shadows of his elite leadership school. Do they have something to do with the disappearance? Or is it linked to the senator's unseen political foes who are pushing the planet toward war? The only way to solve the mystery and maintain peace is for two Jedi apprentices, Anakin Skywalker and his rival, Ferris Olin, to infiltrate one of the fiercest places in the galaxy, school.
Hello, and welcome back to the Padawan Library. This is the Star Wars Junior Novel Podcast, the only junior novel podcast. If there is another junior novel podcast, let us know so we can forcibly take them down somehow. I'm Levi Paratic, and with me is a man who's excited for the new Hayden Christensen flick due out next week, Tim May.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers are so crossed. He has to be in it. He has to be.
You know what a huge part of our conversation will be on our bonus episode next week.
Oh my
One way or the other.
I need him and Kilo next to each other. I need Kilo to look at his mirror image and see, like, where did I go wrong?
I hope. We'll see.
Next week we should speculate and everything.
Yeah, we'll do some more although that'll be out after most people have seen the movie. So if you want to get your last minute speculation in, I guess this is the week to do it. But I don't know. I'm trying to kind of stay away from everything, just like everything as far as interviews, news, certainly reviews when they start to come out next week. I don't want anything to remotely taint my viewing experience.
Yep.
Because I'd like to come by my Star Wars opinions honestly, because I feel like sometimes I sometimes I get very reactionary to just whatever annoying people I see.
Well, I've stayed away from everything too. The only thing I've heard is that there's a twist. There's going to be a twisty twist that people say is the twistiest twist of them all. So who knows? I don't think that's possible.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know whatever. Okay. I don't want to speculate about it. Speaking of movies, I was going to do this on our Rise of Skywalker episode, but I figured that might be like 3 hours long, so let's not add to And this, obviously, if you guys wanted to skip ahead to the review, you can skip ahead to the review. I understand this. But we got to get in some non-Star Wars content sometimes. And I've been working for the last year on my top 25 movies of this decade that is coming to a close. I would share my top films of the year, but I still haven't seen like Uncut Gems or Little Women, and like there's movies that I think will probably make the high end of that list that I haven't seen. So, but I feel safe saying that those movies are not going to make my decade list, at least not right away. So I made a top 25 of the decade, and I will say, just to tie it back into Star Wars, the only Star Wars movie that had a remote chance of getting on this list was Last Jedi, and that would be probably on my long list it's like around 40 or 45, something like that. No shots, still a great movie. Every movie on this list is 5 stars. People can piddle with the ranking, whatever. 1 per director. I went because it's just variety is the spice of life, baby.
Listeners, I was not aware he was going to do this today.
You know what? Levi, you're going to enjoy this.
I'm sure I will.
You like this. There are 2 movies we've had nearly friendship-ending fights about on this list. But we'll just breeze right by those. But anyway, but the rest of them, I think we're, either in agreement on, or you haven't seen them, or whatever.
Right.
All right, number 25. One of the only franchise films on the list. There's only 2 franchise films on the list. One of them, number 25, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. That's the first. That's the first one, the Rupert Wyatt one. I love all 3, but the first one I have a great fondness for. It's one of the. I love that movie. I was not expecting anything out of it. I went to see it by myself. Day it opened, and I was like, I can't believe this is good. I just couldn't believe it was good.
The movie is very good.
And it's maybe a sentimental thing. I just love Planet of the Apes. And maybe Dawn's a little better. I don't know. But Rise is great, and the John Lithgow performance, heartbreaking. So, number 24, Moneyball. Moneyball. Great movie. Have you seen Moneyball?
No, I haven't seen Moneyball.
Oh, great Brad Pitt performance. What I used to think is maybe his best performance until something happened this year. But anyway, maybe 2 things happened this year. But
yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, he's great in 2 movies this year. Anyway, this is just a delightful movie, very fun to watch. I've watched it like 6 or 7 times. And great rewrite on the script, I think, by Aaron Sorkin. Just a fun time at the movies. Number 23, It Follows. A great movie.
That is a very good movie.
And I feel like maybe slightly underrated by some types of horror fans that annoy me. But a very good movie. Great.
Yeah, I feel like that movie's like kind of gotten forgotten, and that movie
maybe a little bit. That guy had a new movie this year, Under the Silver Lake, which I still haven't watched, and that's another movie I would want to see before I made my year list.
Didn't he make another movie too after It Follows? I can't remember.
He's only made 3 movies. That it took him a while to follow it up. He made but he made a movie before that called The Myth of the American Sleepover that's also very good. Anyway, number 22, this is one we've had a nearly friendship-ending argument over that we'll skip over quickly. The World's End, Edgar Wright. Number 21, that's a very important movie to me. Number 21.
Wasn't that argument on a different podcast? Didn't we have that
I don't think we had the argument publicly, but we
definitely
had a very
over that
strong... that's a great movie. Number 21, Ari Aster's Hereditary. This is what's going to piss you off.
I need to rewatch that movie.
I love that movie. I know you didn't love it when you first saw it, but you love Midsommar.
My Midsommar love is so high. I've watched Midsommar like 3 times now.
And Midsommar's great, but I think I like Hereditary more, but they're both great. Number 20, Harmony Korine's Spring Breakers. It's got to be on the list. It's maybe the movie of the decade. It might be the definitive film of this era.
It's definitely like one of the most unique movies of this era.
I think it might have the most, I feel like it says the most about the times we live in, perhaps. A great movie, great performances all around. Fantastic movie. Number 19, Arrival. Have you seen Arrival?
I have seen Arrival. Arrival's very good.
I loved Arrival. It's also just the experience of watching Arrival. I saw it the weekend after the election. And very emotional.
I remember this. You saw Arrival and you were just like, it has restored my faith in humanity.
Practically. I don't know. Maybe that faith was misplaced. I don't know. But great movie. And Amy Adams, I think she shows up elsewhere on the... Yes, she does. But she's the best actress in the world.
And that guy also did Blade Runner, right?
He did Blade Runner, which I still haven't seen because I'm a loser who clings to the past. But
I thought it was a good movie. Leto is terrible in the movie, but otherwise a good movie.
Yeah. And he's barely in it, right? I've heard he's not in it that much.
He's in it. I mean, he's like the main villain of the movie. So,
oh no!
Yeah, it's a problem.
All right. Well, I have Brooke, a friend of the show, Brooke, got me a digital code of that, so I will be watching it eventually. Anyway, number 18, Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. Yes, Taika Waititi, but also Jermaine Clements. What We Do in the Shadows.
That movie.
The best comedy of the decade. Best, like, pure comedy. Just such a great movie.
I was referencing that movie
stuff
the other day because somebody was talking about vampires with me, and I was like, "Oh, there's this great vampire movie. There's this scene where they're like getting dressed and they're drawing pictures of each other because they can't see each other themselves in the mirror."
Have you watched the show yet? I've heard the show is actually funny.
I heard the show's really good too, and I heard like those characters show up in the show.
Oh, I might have to check that out. I think it's on Hulu or something. Number 17. Steven Spielberg's Bridge of Spies. This is the Spielberg I picked. The only other one that was really in contention was probably Lincoln. Those are the two best.
I think Bridge of Spies is better.
But I like Bridge of Spies more. I think they're both great, but I think Bridge of Spies is just like it. People are going to look back on that in the future and be like, "What the fuck? People were so tepid about this movie." Like, it's such a great movie. Anyway, number 6...
Speaking of Lincoln, though, does Daniel Day-Lewis show up on this list again later? In another movie?
He almost did, but I wound up picking another movie by that director.
Oh, okay. All right.
I figure you might...
Okay.
You're referring to Phantom Thread, I assume?
Yes, I am referring to Phantom Thread.
So, spoiler, Phantom Thread on the list. Phantom Thread would be very hot. If I had more than one movie by directors, it would be in the top 10. Okay. Phantom Thread is great. But anyway, 16. Greta Gerwig's Lady Bird. Great movie.
Fantastic
Love
film.
it. She's the best. 15. This is the first movie from 2019 on the list. Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. Great movie. This is incredible insight from me, but anyway, 14. The final film by Isao Takahata, the great Japanese animator, The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Incredible movie. Like this woodcut style of animation. Insane how good it is. Number 13. This was very hard for me to pick which film by this great director I had to put on here, but I did it. Number 13 is Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street. Listen, I like every movie this man has put out this decade. I think they're all great. The Irishman, which is a fucking awesome movie. Great movie. Like, the ending of it leaves you feeling like so hollow, just so beautifully hollow. And Silence, the from a couple years ago, also just amazing stuff. Those would be the two that were competing with it, but I just think Wolf of Wall Street, again, like Spring Breakers, it's very much like a movie for the times. Which is sad, but, number 12, Christopher Nolan, Dunkirk. Listen,
fantastic.
Interstellar came close. I love Interstellar also. I think Nolan is at the peak of his powers right now. As I think this movie is maybe his best movie, period.
I agree with you. I like that. Yeah. I would argue that in Prestige.
And The Dark Knight's really good.
Those are like his top three. 100% top three.
And I loved Interstellar too, so he's had a great decade, and I actually like Dark Knight Rises more than most people. But, and I can't wait for Tenet. Can't wait. Number 11. Leaving this out of the top 10 felt hard.
Okay.
I have to say. But I couldn't honestly put it above anything in the top 10. But hey, number 11, Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, that is
so good, so easily the best, just pure action film of the decade. The best,
nothing even comes
movie.
Close.
Yeah.
The only thing that's ever come close is that Gemini Man motorcycle scene.
I just realized a movie I left out of this, and I feel so stupid. But I'll mention it at the end.
Okay.
But regardless, Mad Max Fury Road, incredible movie. Number 10. This is the top 10. Kind of invalidated because I forgot this other movie, but I'll just say the other movie. It's not ranked, but it's a great movie that no one besides me has even seen. But it's David Chase's Not Fade Away, the guy that created The Sopranos, his movie from 2012. A great movie, underrated. Go see it. It will be in my revised version of my top 10 here. But number 10 is Hayao Miyazaki's The Wind Rises. Oh boy, just a great elegy, great morally thorny and complex stuff going on. I rewatched it recently. I saw it in theaters, and I hadn't watched it since, and I watched it again a couple months ago, and whew, oh boy. Okay, number 9. That's another. You want to talk about feeling hollow at the end? Hollow. Number 9. We're getting to the home stretch. Number 9. James Gray, one of the most underrated directors in the world. He made Ad Astra this year, which is a great movie also. He made Lost City of Z a couple years ago, also a great movie. But I went with The Immigrant, an incredible movie from 2013 starring Marion Cotillard, Joaquin Phoenix, and Jeremy Renner. Great movie. It's about a woman, an Eastern European immigrant woman, at the turn of the 20th century. There's like a magician and a pimp and all. It's a great movie, like a great movie. Number 8, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 7, Francis Ha.
Such a good movie.
A great movie, directed by Noah Baumbach, written by him and Greta Gerwig. Baumbach has had an insane decade. This is his decade. Greenberg, which I don't think is his best movie, but still very good. Francis Ha, While We're Young.
A great movie.
Mistress America, a fucking great movie. The Meyerowitz Stories, which I just finally caught up with, but for some reason I missed it when it came out. Holy crap, that movie. Oh, boy. Sandler in that. Jesus Christ. And now Marriage Story. An insane run of movies. Great. He's one of my favorite directors ever. I've loved him forever. But, Francis Ha is the one that I mean, that movie just... Oh, what a joy that movie is.
We watched that movie recently again, and I don't know what the hell I was smoking whenever I rated it on Letterboxd. I looked at my rating on Letterboxd for my first rating, and I gave it 3.5 stars, and I wanted to slap myself. I went back in, I rated it again 5 stars. I was like, what was I even on?
That is one of the most joyful films that exists. I love that.
I know. Well, my wife is pretending to slap me now because she adores that movie. It's
embarrassing. One of the greatest movies. Anyway, so sad. Anyway, so number 6 is, speaking of getting hollowed out, Paul Schrader's First Reformed, a movie that comes up a lot on this show.
It shows up a ridiculous amount on this show.
Yeah, one of the most Star Wars related films there is. First Reformed.
Exactly. Well, that connection between him and Paul Davids. Remember, they went to school.
I know, yeah. Paul Schrader and Paul Davids of Jedi Prince fame went to the AFI together, which is wild. All right, yeah. So 6 is First Reformed, a great movie. Ethan Hawke, maybe the performance of the decade. Incredible stuff. Number 5. This is our top 5. Holy shit. Holy crap, we're getting to our top 5. My top 5, I should say. It's not your top 5. You know, I feel bad for putting that on you. But number 5. If
you gave me some warning, maybe I could have made my own list.
Well, I came up with this, I just was finishing this off, and I was like, I'm just going to read this on the show. This is very spur of the moment. Number 5, a movie that is great, and I don't want to hear anything from anybody. Richard Linklater's Boyhood. An incredible movie. Listen, he also has had a very good decade. A little bit of ups and downs, but his great movies have been really great.
Wants some. Everybody wants some.
Before Midnight. Bernie, also a great movie from the start of this decade. He's great. Boyhood is kind of the career encompassing thing, and that movie's great. I saw it 3 times in the theater. I got the Criterion Blu-ray. I watch it. I throw it on, as a background thing. It's a very, emotionally rich, movie. It's not just the way it was made. It's very good, and the performances are just amazing. And like I on it, like just the observational elements of the filmmaking. He's one of my favorite directors ever, and that movie is incredible. Number 4, David Fincher's The Social Network. You want to talk about a movie of the times? This is the definitive film of the decade. It's not my number 1, but it is
number 4.
But it is the movie of the decade. I would say maybe definitively it is the film of the decade. It's everything this terrible era has been about. It's all because of this bullshit. And this movie is it's great. Jesse Eisenberg, underrated in this movie. People don't talk enough about how good that performance is. So good. And the dialogue just wonderful, wildly entertaining, but also unsettling. So,
Eisenberg just always great.
He's always good. Even in Batman V, he's good. Because I don't know what he's doing, but it's just a wild performance. Delightful. But he's great. I wish he was in more stuff, but whenever he shows up.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's in Squid and the Whale, another Baumbach movie.
Oh,
great
Squid
movie.
and the Whale, one of the greatest movies ever made. A perfect movie.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Adventureland too. Him and Kristen Stewart.
I love Adventureland.
Adventureland is fire.
That's on the previous decade list. Number 3. This is my top 3. Oh my god. Number 3. Sarah Polley's Stories We Tell. This movie is a documentary, which is the only one on this list. But this movie hollows you out. Essentially the filmmaker Sarah Polley, who is an actress. You might recognize her, I guess, but she basically made a film about her family and her parents, and this movie just it's so. I have so much attachment to this, so I don't have much interesting to say about anything really, but this movie, I urge you to check out Stories We Tell. I feel like anybody can find something interesting in it. Her parents were like this Canadian theater acting family, and like it's just very interesting. Like the kind of hit, like, and she shoots like reenactments like that are like maybe real, maybe not. Like it's a very interesting movie. Number 2, Paul Thomas Anderson. Not Phantom Thread.
Inherent Vice.
The
Master. The Master. I totally forgot about The Master.
I like Inherent Vice a lot, but that would be number 3 on that list if I were making the tiny Paul Thomas Anderson
Well, I was
list.
thinking too. It's like if he's choosing Inherent Vice, like I liked Phantom Thread more than that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like no
Phantom
shots
Thread's
at Inherent Vice.
No shots at Inherent Vice. Have you seen The Master?
I have seen The Master. I forgot that The Master came out this decade.
See, The Master is the masterpiece, is what it is.
It really is.
And it's a perfect movie. 3 of the greatest performances I have ever seen. I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson is obviously a genius, but Philip Seymour Hoffman in this movie. Mm-hmm. This is, I think, his best performance, and which makes it one of the best performances that ever existed in movies. So. Incredible stuff. That's like some Orson Welles level shit that he's doing in that movie. Great movie. Amy Adams. The scene with Amy Adams and him in the bathroom.
Oh, yep. That's the one thing.
Christ. And the scene with him and Joaquin doing the auditing or whatever, like it's like the Scientology thing. That is wild. Just incredible performances all around. Beautiful looking movie. I saw it in the theater surrounded by like a bunch of like 60-plus-year-olds who clearly all hated it, so that was a delight. Great movie. I can't wait for it. They announced his next movie, so that's coming. I think probably next year. It's high school comedy set in the 70s. That's which I was like, "This? Are you fucking kidding me? This is designed for me." Number 1, the easiest number 1 of all time, the greatest movie of the decade, the greatest movie maybe ever. the Coen brothers inside Llewyn Davis.
I knew you were going to say it.
Listen. A perfect movie. It has our boy Oscar in it. That's a connecting back to Star Wars. Poe Dameron himself. This is the performance of the decade. I said it about Ethan Hawke and Philip Seymour Hoffman and Jesse Eisenberg. No shots at all of them. But really, it's all about Oscar, and it's all about Inside Llewyn Davis. A perfect movie. The Coen brothers, Jesus Christ, they're in their, fourth decade of movie making at this point. They're entering their fifth. Although, what's this about Joel making a movie without Ethan? That bothers me. Although it's sounds like he's doing I think it's a Macbeth, which is interesting, and it's with Frances McDormand and Denzel Washington. Not to get sidetracked, I'm very curious about it. I hope it's just that Joel and Frances wanted to make a movie together, as a husband-wife thing. And it's not the breakup of the brothers. That would be so heartbreaking. I'm already so sad about the Wachowskis that it makes me so sad. So I can't handle it if the Coen brothers break up. But if they did, this is one of their best movies ever. So I think it might be their best movie.
Well,
which is crazy.
This is perfect timing, Tim, because we are currently entering 25-minute mark, and you've just given
I've
us
spent at most a minute on each movie. That's
yes,
not that
exactly.
All right, so listen, I hope you all, if you haven't seen some of those, go check them out. Check out Not Fade Away, which I fucked up by not putting it on here. So
what movie goes? What's leaving the list then for that?
Oh, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I put on there just kind of for fun. That would I think Not Fade Away is better than that, and it would actually go pretty high on the list. But I don't know.
But when we come back, we're this week we're reviewing Star Wars Jedi Quest number 5, The School of Fear by Jude Watson. This is another book very up Tim's alley. This is a book written for Tim.
Listen, this is like you mentioned, 70s high school comedy directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. I like high school bullshit, guys.
I know you do.
I love teen dramas. One of my favorite shows of all time is The OC, which is about essentially having to go to an elite school within whatever. We'll talk about this. We're going to talk all about it. Very exciting. When we come back, School of Fear. Stay tuned.
Welcome back.
What?
I'm taking this. You summarized this book too, so if I don't take this, you're talking the entire episode. This week, of course, we're reading Jedi Quest: The School of Fear. This again by Jude Watson, as always. Cover again by what's this? Who are these people?
They're
whatever. It doesn't say. Oh wait, hang on. Alicia Bulow and David Mattingly. Not the worst cover in the world, even though
it's okay.
I'm not entirely sure who these characters are, though.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a Shakti. I'm sorry, Trandoshan.
Right.
I didn't realize there was a Trandoshan amongst these kids, but
yeah, and one of them's not and one kid's supposed to be a Bothan.
Yeah, I don't. They seem like a random assortment of children to me. Anyway, this book, School of Fear. We hinted, you said you did the notes for this. That's interesting. I haven't taken detailed notes, I would say. So this is going to be a pretty loosey-goosey episode, but I feel like I
took notes too. I took very loose notes. So.
Okay, it's fine. Listen, we're near the end of our run for the year, and we're all a bit tired. I just finished the semester of school. You literally just got off of work 20 minutes ago.
Yep.
So let's our listeners will be understanding. We're getting pretty good numbers, by the way. I just looked at the numbers.
I did. Our subscriber count on YouTube is very good right now. Have
you
noticed that?
On the feed, we're getting a pretty solid number of downloads per day. Mm-hmm. We just had our best month in a row, 3 months in a row.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. All right, wild. So that's going to plummet when we take this break. But
I know.
We need the break. I don't know what to say. Sorry, you should have been listening from the beginning, guys. You would have gotten a full year of Padawan Library.
Season 2. Stick around. Please come back for Season 2.
That's why I will put down a couple of bonus episodes. Relax, everybody.
Right.
All right, so this book picks up... we had speculated last week that it would be kind of like it would be like every other book dealt with the ongoing storyline, and then there'd be kind of standalone. And that's kind of what happened here. This is sort of a standalone book, but it does tie in more to this overall idea of finding Granta Omega than I was expecting, because if you remember, there's that senator, that scumbag Senator Sano Saro.
Yep. Obi-Wan has it out for him. That's his whole storyline.
He has it out for Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he does. So,
because if you remember all the way back in Jedi Apprentice Special Edition Deceptions, he's the one who prosecuted Obi-Wan for the murder of Bruck Chun. So he's now a senator. He's super powerful, and Obi-Wan thinks he has the key to finding Granta Omega. And so he files this injunction against him to try to reveal some sort of information, and that gets caught up in a bunch of senatorial red tape, and Obi-Wan's like, oh, that sucks, but of course I'm Obi-Wan, so I'm just letting it roll off my back, and Anakin's like, I can't believe you're letting this roll off your back. He's like, whatever, we got a mission. They go get their mission from Jedi Council, and they're sending both Anakin and his great rival, Ferris Olin, off to a boarding school, right?
Yes.
Like
a senator's boarding, for children of senators and such.
Yeah, like a super ritzy boarding school, and there's a senator whose son has been kidnapped from the boarding school, so they want Anakin and Ferris to go undercover and figure out what's going on with security, all that stuff. And meanwhile, they want Obi-Wan.
Don't forget, though, because they tell Ferris and Anakin that there is possibly a dangerous bunch of student mercenaries possibly operating in the school confines.
Yes, that's the whole thing. And they, what was it? So they find... so basically they're sent to do that while Obi-Wan is supposed to investigate, is supposed to talk to the senator, who is the father of the kidnapped kid, and Siri is off doing something else. Siri, who is Ferris's master,
right? One thing I do want to add here in Chapter 1, Obi-Wan has the help of a new friend, a furry little guy named Cerveni Tyro. I think he may have a third name here. Cerveni Tyro.
He goes by Tyro through most people.
Tyro. He's basically like a Senate, I don't know, aide, a page of some sort.
I think he's some sort of aide, a young aide, who knows a lot about how the Senate works, much to the senator's chagrin.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, Mas Amedda shows up in this.
Oh, wait a minute! I can't believe we forgot this. We have to read the first paragraph.
Okay,
of this book.
All right.
I completely forgot about this. The first paragraph of this book: patience was required of every Jedi, no matter what the pressure. A Jedi maintained inner calm. Every Padawan learner knew the story of Jedi Master Yaddle, who had been imprisoned underground on Koba for several centuries and never lost her serenity. Whoa!
I know, some insane world building going on.
Then again, Anakin Skywalker thought, even Master Yaddle might have cracked if she had to deal with senatorial procedure. That's the end of the Yaddle mentions. We don't need to... But, when I read that first paragraph, I freaked out. I was just running around the room, in circles, whoa!
Well, it's our second book in a row Yaddle's brought up, so...
Oh, my God. And it's just an incredible time to be a Yaddle fan right now.
I agree.
Incredible time. With the Mandalorian and everything, it's wild. Wild. You think Yaddle still lives? You think Yaddle lives by the time of the Mandalorian?
Maybe. We don't see Yaddle's death. We don't... Has that even been... hang on, I'm checking Wikipedia now if the new canon has done anything with Yaddle at all.
Anyway,
I don't think they have.
I'm going to kind of run as quickly as possible through the rest of the book because, again, I took no notes. I'm doing a very good job so far, remembering everything. But so basically, Anakin or Ferris basically like hangs out with this like dorky kid who loves to play pranks. I can't remember his name. And
that guy. Well, first off, Yaddle died in the Legends timeline, but no mention of it on the new canon timeline.
Very interesting. So
the kid's name is Raymet.
Raymet. Anyway, so Raymet, he plays dumb pranks and everything, but
his one prank's pretty funny though.
Oh yeah, he writes that Ferris is a snob or something.
Yep.
On the blackboard, essentially.
And I actually have I have this bookmarked because there's something very funny that happens here with Anakin. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, okay. So this Raymet kid pulls this prank in front of the class because, of course, Ferris has to be the center of attention in the school, and he's answering all the questions first. He's answering all the questions right, just being a big old suck up. And so this kid plays this prank where he displays Ferris as a snob, and so Anakin he looks around and he can tell this boy's responsible, and he goes up to the kid. Okay, I'll start here. Anakin headed. This is 25. Anakin headed in the direction of the short boy. His sandy hair stuck up in bristles, and it was easy to keep track of him. Anyone who could infiltrate a professor's holographic projector in order to conduct a practical joke might know something about bypassing security. He noted that around him, students walked in groups or pairs. This boy walked alone.
Oh, yes.
That was pretty wizard, Anakin said, falling in step beside the boy. That's all I really had to say. Anakin, noting that Anakin said wizard.
Of course. That should be noted. I'm glad you brought that up. Anyway, Anakin, at lunchtime later, he finds this girl, what's her name, Maris?
Yeah, Merritt. M-A-R-I-T, Merritt.
Sorry, yes,
Merritt Dice.
This Merritt Dice, fun name. So anyway, Merritt Dice, like, he's like, oh, she reminds me of a girl I used to know.
I have this bookmark too. Because what was said was very funny. Where is it? Oh, I guess it's the next bookmark page. Damn, I really need to start.
He basically says that she reminds him
of Padme.
Of Padme,
but she's not as hot, essentially. Okay, here it is. Her brown eyes twinkled at him. They were deep and warm and reminded him of another girl, more beautiful than this one, a queen, in fact.
Wow. Anakin hasn't seen Padme at this point, what, in 4 years or 5 years?
Something like that.
So,
he never
needs to
won't
relax.
let go. He does need to relax, big time.
That's wild. Anyway, so, but hey, he gets what he wants eventually. That's the lesson of that movie. So regardless, he meets Merritt, and she's like, and they kind of have they kind of talk back and forth, and he gets the idea that something's up with her. She wants to tell him something. She seems interested in him, but their conversation gets interrupted for whatever reason. All this time, Obi-Wan is talking with the senator.
Berm Tarturi. Berm Tarturi.
All right, well, Berm Tarturi, I'll take your word for it. That sounds right. And he's like a very slick politician. Obi-Wan senses he does care about his son, but like he still wants to present himself as like a good father, even though he's clearly like absent from his life. So Obi-Wan goes back to that guy. What's his name again?
Tyro. Yep.
Tyro, the Senate aide, and asks if he has any info on him, and he's like, that guy's biggest enemy in the Senate is Sano Saro. That's interesting. What's going on there?
There's also another another person by the name of Rama Halian, and Burm thinks she may have something to do with his son's disappearance. She's from like another planet in the Andarian system,
which is where the school is,
right? And like he thinks she's trying to make like a power grab so that like she can be like also senator, like there can be 2 senators. And so he thinks she's responsible, but then Obi-Wan discovers this Sano connection.
So, meanwhile, time has passed at the school. They've been in school for a while, and Ferris has become like actual friends with your boy
Raymet. But Raymet keeps pulling pranks.
He's pulling pranks, and Ferris is getting blamed for them.
Yeah, a teacher sits on a pastry in one scene, and Ferris is blamed
Ferris! For it. He's a regular Ferris Bueller over here.
He sure is.
pranks.
Not nearly as cool.
So yeah, and they Jesus. So I'm doing this all off by memory. I'm doing a good job, I feel like. I feel like the listeners love this. They love me like stumbling over everything. Anakin, Merritt approaches Anakin again because she's seen him fly in simulations, and she's like, "You're a great flyer." And she takes him to see a group of her friends, and it's her and these other kids who I'm not going to name because I don't remember their names, and they're not
really that important.
Honestly, it's a group of people, and they're all like organized, and they're like, "Hey, you have any experience riding a swoop bike?" And he's just like, "Yeah, of course, of course, I can ride a swoop bike, of course," and and basically they reveal that, okay, well, we've been running these mercenary missions because the people at this school, the leadership of the school, none of them are going to give us good recommendations after school because we are scholarship students. Anakin, by the way, is posing as a scholarship student. It's like they only give us scholarships to like look good, but they don't actually like help us get into their like big network, their elite network.
The elite, yeah.
So they have to find their own ways. So they've been taking these mercenary missions that they say are like helping these kind of revolution movements on nearby planets and stuff, and these coups. And they apparently helped with one. Anakin's like, "This is cool as hell. I love this. This is like the Jedi should be." All this stuff. He feels at home. He's like, "I will be a part of this." He's doing it partly because he wants to infiltrate, and they said this might be that group of people that the council told him about, but also because he's like, "I like this. I actually think this is cool. This is what I want to be doing." Right?
Right. I mean, and then there is this whole thing too where like the character of Martis, I can't remember. Merritt. She's like holding something back, and Anakin knows that this group of mercs, these student mercenaries, were part of some mission on Tyrell, and apparently, like the leader of Tyrell was assassinated, and so they think these mercs have something to do with it. And Merritt, she reveals to Anakin that they were supposed to just like break into the like Tyrell capital or whatever and steal access their security records. However, they get into the room and like all of the planet's leaders are there, and of course a blaster fire battle erupts, and Merritt, she accidentally killed the leader of Tyrell. It wasn't like an assassination, it was an accident kind of thing, and she's kind of holding this. It's weighing on her a little bit, so that's important.
Yeah, that is important.
But sorry. Anakin, he talks to Obi-Wan about this, and Obi-Wan's acting like he doesn't care, but Obi-Wan's seeing himself in Anakin as Anakin's telling him.
You might say this seems familiar. Wasn't there some sort of plot in Jedi Apprentice that resembles this in some way? A young character being swayed by these young revolutionaries. You say Jungian? They're not very Carl Jungian to me. Anyway, sorry.
But Melita Dawn, ring a bell? Huh? Yeah. I was so happy she...
The Force is a very Jungian concept, by the way. That's a very stock, obvious analysis to put on Star Wars, but it's true. But these characters, not particularly Jungian. Anyway, it's very Melita Dawn, which is one of the high points of Jedi Apprentice, and they do call this out. They do directly reference it with Obi-Wan thinks back. He's like, I get it. I get where Anakin's at right now, but it's a dangerous place. He's very worried for his Padawan.
Obi-Wan calls it one of his biggest mistakes in his life, because remember, he of course left the Jedi Order to join these kids. He made a conscious decision to leave and then had to fight to come back. So he was just like, I don't want Anakin to make the same mistake as me. But yet I will not tell him about this, at the same time.
I mean, Obi-Wan's still dealing with a lot of things, quite obviously. But, basically at this point, Obi-Wan, he wants to head to, he has to head to a planet in that system for some reason, and I'm blanking on it.
It has, okay. Let's see where we're at here. So he ends up heading to that planet, but it's because... Why does he head there? I guess we have more things to cover with the group. Anakin discovers that, the group is having a secret meeting without him, and that he finds out that they have accepted a new mission from Rama Hallian, the girl who the senator thinks has something to do with his son's disappearance.
Yes.
And the mission is to conduct a passive strike on the Andara security, and they need a pilot.
Basically to scare the senator
right
into
negotiations with Hallian, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, Obi-Wan discovers that he discovers with the help of Jocasta Nu that Hallian transferred some money to Rolai Frack, who is one of the mercenary kids who we don't feel like needs name mentioned. So then he realizes, okay, Sanyo is not to blame. I wanted to blame Sanyo this whole time, because there is a moment where him and Sano, Obi-Wan storms into Sano's office and exchanges some words with him. It's kind of an intense scene, but not really that important to the story. And then Ferris goes missing.
Right, yeah, that's where I want to pick up, because, Obi-Wan's heading to that planet, but during this time, Anakin does go and tell Ferris about this mission, and he wants to go under the guise of, I want to stay undercover, but really he wants to go and help them, and Ferris is like, I don't know about that. We need to contact Obi-Wan right away. But the signal would blow their cover, apparently, because the communications in the school are locked down. So with an emergency signal. So basically, Anakin's like, whatever, we don't need to do that. And so he, but then Ferris goes missing. Anakin knows Ferris goes missing, and he still goes on the mission. Anyway, still without telling Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he's given a choice. He's looking for Ferris, and then Merritt comes and is like, oh yeah, we're moving the mission to now, and Anakin has to make that decision. And of course, Anakin chooses adventure over his fellow Jedi.
And so basically, Obi-Wan arrives on that planet and meets Siri there, who knows that Ferris has gone missing already, and Siri is pissed off at Obi-Wan.
She got an emergency comm from him, and then when she went to respond, he wasn't there, so she knows he's missing. And this scene is pretty funny, in my opinion.
Yeah, what page is this on?
I don't know what page this is on. I do have... So basically, Obi-Wan and Suri, this is chapter 13, they have to infiltrate the school. And they're not sure how, being that Anakin and Ferris are disposed. But Obi-Wan has a plan, and his plan...
This is so funny.
Obi-Wan's plan is that Suri and him pretend to be king and queens of a planet who are intending to enroll their children at the school. So they get dressed up and they have this whole quarrel.
Oh, so funny.
It's hilarious. And then they convince the dean or the president of the school to just let them roam the school.
Have we talked about? We should talk about Obi-Wan and Siri for a second here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're definitely trying to evoke the Qui-Gon and Tall relationship to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if I sense any desire to
hold hands?
To hold hands, or not. But, I mean, maybe a little bit here or there. But I do like that because Tall was a big part of the Bleed of Dawn arc. So having Obi-Wan's relationship with Siri be, who is... It's a similar thing where they grew up as Padawans together. Have that be a big part of this, whether it winds up being a romantic thing like Qui-Gon and Tall were or not.
Because something that get mentioned a lot is Suri doesn't express her emotions vocally, but Obi-Wan can always tell what they are by just looking at her. He knows just by her looks how she's feeling.
I don't feel the same tension there was between Qui-Gon and Tall, but that might just be because it's early days as far as our where we're at with the characters in this iteration. But
who's a character who hasn't showed up yet, who I'm a little disappointed hasn't showed up at this point? Band.
Yeah, I think that's kind of weird.
I want to see an adult interaction between the two of them.
Yeah, that's strange. I don't know why she hasn't shown up yet. We'll see. I haven't looked. I don't want to look. I hate looking people up on Wikipedia because I always get a spoiler or something.
Oh, it's so easy to do.
But I should maybe just close my eyes and Control F to appearances or something to see if she shows up again.
I'll do it while you continue.
Okay. So yeah, they pose as a king and queen, and they wind up getting full access to the school. The dean of the school is so flustered because he thinks that they're gonna they're gonna send their kids to a school on Alderaan instead. It's so funny, very funny scene. And so they go in and they find. Is this when they find the underground?
Yeah. So basically, Obi-Wan and Suri find Raymet, and he leads them to this underground tunnel that was cut off when they renovated the school, and that's of course where they find. They
find Ferris.
Yes. By the way, Bant will show up. And Bant apparently is in the video game Star Wars Jedi Starfighter. Okay,
so she's going to show up in Quest?
Yes, Changing of the Guard. We'll see her.
All right, cool. What's that one?
I'm looking now. It is the 8th book in the series.
Okay, so you look forward to that in March. So anyway, so basically they find out, and then the big reveal happens here. The big twist is that what's the kid's name again? The senator's son.
Oh, Gilliam.
Gilliam. We meant not Gilliam. Gilliam. Gilliam would be a funny name. But anyway, Gilliam, who we haven't mentioned his name, but he's the senator's son, who was the catalyst for this whole thing. It's revealed he staged his own kidnapping. He's been down there the whole time. What's going on with that? Anakin, meanwhile, is about to make this run with the squad. They keep calling them the squad, by the way. Very funny. Squad's just a funny word. It's always going to be a funny word. Anyway, so he's with them. They've left on that mission, and basically, what's her face? The woman, the grown woman.
Hallian.
Hallian. She meets them there and's like, actually, we want you to do a real attack. And like Anakin's like, that would be an act of war. No. He finally pulls his head out of his ass. He sabotages the ship so they can't go. All the kids get super pissed. And
then Gillum comes out.
Merritt's like heartbroken. Like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do this to me? And Anakin's like, do you really want to start a war? Like, what's up with that? And she's like, I don't know. I feel so conflicted. Gillum shows up. And Gillum, of course, is the mastermind of the squad. He's the head of the squad. He is, what's her face from Suicide Squad? What's her name? Amanda Waller.
Yes.
Viola Davis in Suicide Squad. God, can't believe I'm making Suicide Squad references right now. Terrible film for terrible people. But the
this is where the real plot comes into play.
Okay, you go.
So Gillum's whole master plan here is he's trying to get a clean break. He wants to just be this mercenary character. He said he wants to tell his school to F off. He wants to tell his dad to F off. And so he's done this by his whole master plan is he staged his own kidnapping. And he wants it to look like his dad kidnapped him. So and then he wants it to look like his dad fake kidnapped him and then accidentally killed him. And then he also wants to start a war on this planet. However, they need a body, so they've decided that they were going to recruit Anakin so that they could kill Anakin and then change the body so that Anakin's body looked like Gillum's body. A little convoluted of a plot.
That's why listen, that's a lot, but that's what happens. There's a big fight.
That's what happens when these affluent kids think they can get away with killing people. They overthink it.
By the way, this is just like a rich kid who wants to feel like he's a part of, like, he's dissatisfied with his life, and he wants to feel like he's a part of, like, oh, I'm actually one of these, like, underprivileged kids, like, because I don't like my dad. Like, that's like, it's the same thing. Fuck him. Great villain, actually. A great genre of villain. But, so basically there's a big fight. Anakin shows out like a madman.
Yeah, he's got 6 blasters on him, and he disarms everybody before igniting his lightsaber. Yeah,
it's wild, and there's a great thing, this is the end of the second to last chapter, because after all this, everybody's disarmed, it's all, like, good. Everybody's good. Obi-Wan's there, and he's like, and Anakin says, he waited, standing in the cockpit, looking down. He could feel the flush of triumph in his cheeks. Siri glanced at him, as did Ferris. He could see the astonishment in their faces. But his master never looked up. Oh. The distant master, the distant god, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah. What is it? Like, it's much like Adam Driver and Andrew Garfield in Martin Scorsese's Silence. They're calling out and they don't hear anything. And Obi-Wan is that. Anyway, whatever. Very stupid. Yeah. I have to reference things that are completely unrelated.
Yes. Liam Neeson's in that movie, so
he is, and so is Adam Driver. So.
Yeah. And the final chapter here is a lot about is this back and forth between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and there's some real tension here. I'm actually.
Let's read some of it.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start here?
Kind of long. I don't have anything marked here.
Yeah, let's see.
I'll start with the beginning of the chapter. It'll kind of summarize what happened in the previous chapter and where Obi-Wan's at. So, never had Obi-Wan seen such a display of the Force from a Padawan. From great Jedi Masters, yes. From Qui-Gon near the end of his life. But someone so young, Anakin's power astonished him. He had glimpsed at it before, but now he had seen it unfurl, and it staggered him. He had not a chance to move, to even help. Anakin had been a blur. He had seemed to be everywhere at once. He destroyed 10 attack droids, disarmed his aggressors, and disabled 2 laser cannons without hesitation, with even a slight smile on his face.
All right, let's skip ahead to page 139, because this is where the big fight starts.
Okay.
So, you beat Anakin to start with. They were going to conduct a raid.
Okay, let me find that. You said 139.
Yeah, okay. And we'll just read to the end of the book here.
Right.
But
they were going to conduct a raid on Andorra, Anakin said, tired of Obi-Wan's silence. But first they were going to kill me.
I know, Obi-Wan said. Everything was on Gillem's datapad, which you would have known if you had searched for Ferris.
Anakin flushed. I didn't know where he was.
You did not look.
I thought perhaps he was on Ieria or Andorra. I thought the secret squad knew where he was.
You did not even look, Obi-Wan shouted. Your fellow Jedi was missing, and you did not even look.
I thought it was best to continue undercover, Anakin said. His face showed his surprise at Obi-Wan's harshness. Obi-Wan never raised his voice. I had infiltrated the squad. I thought my best chance of finding both Gillem and Ferris was to continue.
You were willing to participate in a raid that would have started a war, Obi-Wan continued. He had struggled to keep his voice level. He needed to keep as calm as possible.
I didn't know about the raid, Anakin protested. I mean, I knew they were going to do something, but it was a dry run designed to show the Ardarians that they had the capability of invading their airspace. I didn't know they had plans to destroy the fleet. As soon as I did, I sabotaged the laser cannons.
Anakin, you left your fellow Jedi imprisoned and went off on a mission with a group of beings who you had no reason to trust, Obi-Wan said. You were wrong at every point. Can't you see that?
Anakin said nothing.
You did not contact me to tell me Ferris was missing.
It would have compromised our cover.
You had a responsibility! Obi-Wan's voice cut like a laser whip. Just as I had one to Siri. You betrayed me and the Order by your actions, and your inability to see that troubles me the worst of all.
I'm sorry, Master.
Obi-Wan shook his head. Grief rose in him. Those are words you speak so easily, Padawan.
Anakin's mouth closed in a line. I don't know what you want from me.
Honesty, loyalty, patience, obedience. Obi-Wan thought these things, but did not say them, because, after all, they were only words too. I can only show you the path, Obi-Wan said. You must choose to walk on it.
Anakin stopped. He took a ragged breath. I thought you'd be proud of me.
I am proud of you. Obi-Wan wanted to say the words. They were true. He was proud of so much in Anakin. But now was not the time to tell him that. Or was it? Help me, Qui-Gon. But no matter how hard Obi-Wan listened, he could not hear the quiet wisdom of his master. And now it was too late. Siri returned and signaled to him. It was time to go. I will take this matter up with the Council, he said.
Of course, Anakin said. The Council. We can't take a step without it.
That's enough! Obi-Wan snapped. Come. The others are waiting.
Anakin hesitated. The set of his mouth was stubborn.
Come, Padawan. Obi-Wan's tone rang with authority. Anakin's hesitation cast a chill on his heart.
Anakin followed him. Obi-Wan did not glance back again. He felt shaken. Did Anakin understand that he had violated an essential part of the Jedi Code? Did he know that he had broken something between them? He had not fully trusted Obi-Wan, and so Obi-Wan had lost his trust in him. Not for good, he tried to reassure himself, and maybe not for long. Still, his step was heavy as he climbed up the loading ramp of the transport. His anger faded. Left behind was a feeling that he was not used to experiencing. It was fear.
Whoa.
This fight this fight too at the end, as I was reading this fight for the first time, it made me think of their fight on Mustafar. You know, the final exchange between the two of them.
I was trying to channel him at some points for sure.
You did. There was one. I can't remember the line, but you kind of nailed it on the head. So.
Yeah, listen, I'm not that bad at this. God, kill me. I'm such an asshole. Good Lord. All right, so, yeah, this book, we didn't get into the high school stuff that much, but I enjoyed the couple little scenes we got of just high school stuff. Like, it was just a typical high school... not typical, very elite high school prep school.
Yeah, the book really gets right into it too. Like right in chapter 3, Anakin's already in the school, and like there's this great moment where he's talking about how he's just like gliding through classes, like he's relaxing, he's enjoying it. Girls are looking at him from across the lecture hall. Anakin's just being hot shit.
Hayden's a very handsome boy.
I agree.
So,
I don't know. For that new Hayden flick in a week.
Let's not get our hopes up. But yeah, I liked this book quite a bit. I thought the pacing was really like tight. Like it jumped right into it, and like I read this book in one sitting, just very like breezy. Took me like an hour and 45 minutes, like. Which this is one of the on the longer end of this kind of book. I think it's like 142 or something. But great book. Hey, she's on a roll. These last few have been so good. I was like, oh man, like because after the first couple, I didn't dislike them or anything, but I was like, oh, this is off to a bit of a slow start. But these last 3, I think, have just been on point. This one is easiest 10 midi-chlorians I could give. Just a 10 midi-chlorians. I'll flavor it with Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan just crushes Anakin so well in this book. Or actually, you know what? We gotta give it to Yaddle. Gotta give it up for Yaddle. We got some info about Yaddle. Yeah. So, I love Mas Amedda. But, yeah. I don't know. This book, though, she's just on a good roll. Yaddle...
I will say this, though. Even though I gave it 10, I think the last book was better.
Yeah, I didn't give it conceived. I think I gave the 4th one conceived midi-chlorians.
The last one, Master of Disguise. Yeah, they're all good. This is a Jude Watson podcast, if anything. I mean, with it just added other random shit thrown in between. So, I mean, once we run out of Jude Watson material, I mean, I feel like
that will be near the end of the show.
It really will be. I mean,
well, listen, like this is the biggest. Like, is Jude Watson just? She needs to write a Yaddle book. She could call it 100 Years of Solitude, but that title's already taken. That's wild. Yaddle has a wild story. I don't know. Maybe we'll see some more Yaddle stuff now that they've opened up that species.
Right? Yeah. We will see. We will see, because in the old canon, she died. She died in 26 BBY. I think that's why she doesn't. Yeah. I think
before the Clone Wars.
Yes, I think the whole idea. That's why she's not on the council in Episode 2. They killed her off along with Yarrow Proof, who also died before the Clone Wars. But new canon's wide open. She's not really in anything yet. Master and Apprentice, she's mentioned in the Phantom Menace read-along storybook and CD is apparently still canon.
Well, it's based directly on the movie.
Yeah. She shows up to a vision to Anakin in Darth Vader issue 25.
That's wild. I need to read that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Yaddle, big deal. Anyway, next week is going to be our last episode before the hiatus. And it's going to be on the book Spark of the Resistance, which is a prequel to Rise of Skywalker, and it'll be coming out that Friday morning, so a lot of you will probably have seen the movie the night before. But we will not have seen the film by the time we record that, so just so you know. But then later that weekend, we'll have our Rise of Skywalker review episode up,
Right.
So you're going to get 2 episodes next week, and then our break starts after that. But
and then isn't it like the week after that the last episode of Mandalorian?
Yeah, so sometime after that episode airs, we'll do our Mandalorian episode. Maybe not right away, but certainly within a week or 2. And then we have like a couple other little special, fun, nonsense episodes.
There's a draft coming, people.
Yeah, we're gonna do a draft episode.
There's another draft coming.
So that's coming sometime in January. So you're gonna stay subscribed to the feed, but we're gonna have more stuff, and we'll detail this all a little bit more next week.
We're just tired of reading. We need a break from the reading, guys.
It's not so much reading; it's reading Star Wars books. I need time to read other things, and I will. The problem is doing this when I'm in school because I have school reading
and
to
then
do.
Star Wars reading.
So it's literally all of my reading is like required reading. There's no fun reading that being done. So I need the break. I'm out of school, and I need a break from the podcast too. Sorry, guys. So it is what it is. But anyway, yeah. Come back next week. We got two episodes next week. So don't cry. Don't cry. Stay subscribed. Rate and review us 5 stars. You want to grow that audience in the interim. We're going to have a whole back catalog for people to discover. Tell all your friends. They'll have a whole month and a half to catch up.
A year's worth of content.
A year's worth of content. That's right. Content. My favorite word. I love content. Great word to describe people's hard work.
All right. Rate and review 5 stars only. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email padawanlibrary@gmail. Until the books are due back,
the library is closed.
Padawan Library is hosted and produced by Tim May and Levi Peretic. It is edited by Tim May. Our theme song is by the Astral Project. Our artwork is by Freddie Funbuns. Padawan Library is copyright 2019 by Tim May and Levi Peretic. All rights reserved.